Hi, welcome back to another TerranScapes video. In this video I want to show you the revamped deciduous forests that I've recently developed. As I mentioned before in a previous video where I showed you the graveyards, I've developed a new basing system that allows me to incorporate a variety of types of elements onto that facilitates, fast removal, easy replacement, and the ability to move troops through them. And I haven't been entirely satisfied with the way I've been doing forests in the past, so I think this is a big improvement, and I've been really happy with the results so far. So what I'd like to do is show you the deciduous forests and give you a chance to see some of the benefits that the new basing system offers. So here you can see the small size base, and I have incorporated a variety of sizes of trees, and again they are removable for easy troop movement and as well as easy replacement. And as I mentioned in a previous video, I've left the holes open so that when you place them on the table and you remove a tree from the base, you can see the underlying surface of the table coming through there, and I think that's going to make it look quite a bit more natural on the table when it's in gameplay. That does affect the overall tree stand movement if you wanted to put it back on the shelf, basically. As you can see here, sometimes the tree bases, if they're not particularly tight in there, and I kind of prefer them not to be terribly tight because it'd be possibly damaging to remove them, you'll have to potentially remove the stands from the base and move them separately. But I have been playing around with basically making a sort of little spatula, if you will, with a sheet of paper or styrene or even cardboard, where you can slide that underneath the base and then lift the whole base up that way. So that's an alternative way to facilitate a little bit easier movement from shelf to tabletop. But overall, I think during gameplay that sacrifice for movement, it's going to really improve the actual play of the piece, which to me is the most important. One other thing I should mention is that because I'm not using the plaster bases that I was using before, those plaster base clumps of trees are going to be replaced by these new sets. I no longer need to use a masonry bit to drill into the plaster, and the problem with that is a masonry bit is kind of restricted into its smallest diameter. At least when I went to the hardware store, I got the smallest one I could, and it really wasn't that small. So those gaps for some of these smaller trees where the pin is very small was a little excessive, and filling that with hot glue wouldn't give the best bond that I really wanted. But now I'm able to drill any size hole through the plastic to accept the pins of the trees, and then I'm super gluing those in place, and that has given a very, very strong bond to the base, and I feel much more confident these trees are going to stay in place through the life of their ownership. In all the tree movement that I have done with these stands, including going through a few games, actual games when I had my Warhammer party here, they have held up excellent, and I think I've only seen one tree get slightly loose, and I've been abusing these stands actually for a reason I'll show you in just a second. So here you can see the medium stand. The medium stand has 4 discs to accept trees of various heights and shapes and sizes. And this gives you a sense of the kind of density that the forest has. I've been really interested in increasing the density of the forest to give them more of a forest look, to be honest with you, which sometimes doesn't really come through in a lot of the forests that are available for sale, including my previous ones. So my hope was to give this the kind of density that really emulates a thick forest during the games. And of course you can see as I've finished the base with a little bit of foliage scattered throughout, including on the discs themselves. I'll give you a little close-up of that. Let's see here. The lighting is, well, wait a minute. How about that? There we go. A little bit better lighting. So, you know, tuck that in, hide the bonds, but because I'm using super glue now, there isn't an excessive amount of adhesive to try to hide around the trees, so I have a little more flexibility in the vegetation that I put down, but I tend to put a couple pieces next to the base anyway just to increase the bond strength there. But that gives you an idea of the medium tree stand. And here you can see the large tree stand, and you know, I got a little excited when I built this particular piece here, in the fact that I added actually a few too many trees. I really wanted it to look thick, and what's happened is some of the trees now have gotten so dense that they're actually pushing on each other and preventing, whoops, how about in frame there, that would help, but anyway, preventing them from actually sitting straight. You can see that's just kicked up just a little bit. So in this particular piece, the trees are just a little bit too tight, one too many, couple, maybe 2 or 3 trees too many, so it's going to be a little crowded. This is going to actually go with the one of the table sets that'll be in the clearance page, and so expect for future versions of the large tree stand, it's going to have a couple less trees to allow it to sit flat and flush. It's a shame, though, that I have to reduce the number of trees because I just love the way this stand looks. That is a full and thick forest. That, to me, is the way a forest should look. It should still look dense when I do future pieces, but it won't be, you know, quite as dense as this. Now, the reason I mentioned the durability of the bond of these trees to the bases is that what I did after I assembled this is I went in and sort of recrushed the foliage back, you know, to tighten it up so it wouldn't occupy as much space within the forest, so that they could all sit a little bit closer to each other. So, you know, manhandling the trees to get them to sit a little bit better in the stands really gave me a chance to see just how durable the foliage was, as well as the pinning to the individual discs, the individual bases, and it really has held up very well. So I've been very pleased with this overall. I think it's a big step up from the other trees basing that I've been doing in the past. Saying that, this will have a slightly higher count of trees than my previous, you know, set of 4 bases. That set had 3 trees per base, so it was a total of 12 trees. And here we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's see here. Take that out. 10, 12, 14, 16 trees in this base. Now that will probably be dropped to, say, 14 trees or so. That would be my optimum goal for this basing. So that will be, you know, a slightly higher price because, oh, actually, yeah, 14. And that will be, you know, a slight price increase because the trees are very time-consuming to assemble. Oh my gosh. This is not going to happen with future iterations. There we go, because it will have a little bit more spacing in between. But boy, I really love that density. But in any case, and it has a little bit more surface as well from the previous versions of, you know, those sets of 4 that I've done, and then dropping it on a base. In the past, I've kept the base barren of vegetation because I was unsure of where the individual clumps of 3 trees would end up. Now I have the luxury of, you know, knowing that they have a fixed location and being able to add in a little bit of foliage and grasses and other kinds of adornments around the base of the tree. And that will get explored, you know, more and more in future iterations, and see how I can increase the jazzy factor of the basing of the stand. But I think it's going to be much more playable. You have a clearly defined boundary as to where the forest begins and ends, and you know, much more easy facilitating of moving the troops through it, as well as an increase in the overall density of the forest. So I think it's a real win-win for the next phase of my forest development. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the new forests. I think they expand the quality and the appearance of them quite a bit over my previous versions. One thing I forgot to mention, however, is that I'm going to be offering the basing of, the stands themselves as an unfinished option in the store as well. So if you're interested in creating your own forest or whatever else, graveyard or cacti or any kind of thing like that, you'll be able to buy the unfinished bases on their own and finish them to whatever you're interested in putting on top of them. And I'll show them in the next video when I do the conifer tree video, which will be coming up soon. So thank you once again for joining me. Comments and questions down below. I always say that, but I do encourage you to take advantage of that. And keep your eye on the channel, as I've been saying. I still have a few more videos to shoot of all these new products, so hopefully you'll come back and join me then.